I'll be murdered live on stream if that's the case.
Welcome, everyone. How are we all doing to the AFL Off-Season Show, 5 o'clock new time. As always, I like to have a guest because even though I can talk a lot, I do like having another opinion. I've got the great man himself, Let Dog. Let Dog, how you doing? This is where we come alive, isn't it?
I know. I've been in a bit of a hibernation, Pommy, and it gets to this time of year and you and I are talking for 6 hours a day on the phone and talking about all the stuff that journos make up and all the values of players that are completely out of whack. And then we come on here and we go, this is what's actually happening. And generally, we've got a pretty good track record.
We're pretty good at breaking down this murky world. It's going to be interesting this year because it looks like Carlton are a selling club, doesn't it? Usually we're selling dreams, but instead we're buying hope.
Yep. No, well, I'll be approaching all Carlton analysis in the same way I approach every off-season. This is the first time we've ever really had players wanting to leave since for quite a long time. We've had the occasional player dip in and out, but this is the first time we've had a big gluttony as Carlton fans. But I'll be bringing the same realistic analysis to those players, and that's why Charlie Curnow is worth 10 first-round picks.
10 first-round picks and 8 A-graders. Teresa, g'day, how you doing? I suppose we should talk about the grand final just briefly. Commiserations to Geelong. Brisbane, though, showing just how good they are, back-to-back. Fagan's the most likeable man in Australia. Did you enjoy that game?
I mean, I did, because I always go for the team that's geographically further away from my house than the other team, and that meant Brisbane this year. That's the last year of feeling good for Brisbane fans, though. They've now been in 3 grand finals back-to-back in the men's program. They're about to get 2 or 3 free agents as well as a top 5 pick. So, quite frankly, the franchise and the fans can get fucked from this day moving forward. But as of yesterday, I was so happy for them, and it was a great day out.
Do you know what I mean? But you know what? I get grandpa vibes, Teresa, as well. I feel like he's grandpa vibes. It's like that lovable. So your mate's grandpa that lets you drink whiskey at 12.
I briefly, many years ago, worked at Hawthorn Footy Club when I was at uni for a brief period of time. And I met Fags a few times there, and this is like over 10 years ago, he seemed just as nice now as he did back then, at least when he was dealing with me, a little nobody who was running around trying to film people. So, good bloke then, seems like a good bloke now.
He does seem like a good one. Big Trent in the house quickly. Small forward Doverston. I'm a big fan of Doverston, but I do like Kako. But I think they'd complement each other, don't you, Lek? You never have too many small forwards.
No, like you're talking to someone who hasn't watched a small forward play in about 4.5 years. So the more you can have, the better. But yeah, don't like Kako's all upside from here.
Yeah, mate, it's good. Good luck with your assignments, Mitch. Well, let's get into it. We've got a bumper show. We're going to go through some of the biggest articles and conspiracies, but the biggest name on here is probably Jamie Elliott, and rumours are talking that he is going to be on his way on a 3-year deal. It's been reported today. It's going to be announced on Monday, they claim. It's a rumour that won't die, though. The Suns are chasing. Big game experience, said Dimmer. Clutch record of Elliott. We're Carlton fans. We know how good he is. Kicked 30 goals this year, 2.5 goals a game, 6.3 score involvements, just turned 33. He is absolutely lightning. They want that finals experience. Pies have tried to keep him. This could be a huge deal, couldn't it? Because I can't believe he is not getting more interest from other clubs.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And I think you said 30 goals. I think he kicked 60 goals. Either or.
Sorry.
Bloke kicks a lot of goals. I guess the question mark, Gold Coast are probably in a place where they can offer overs in terms of duration of contract, and then they can just flip him into a sort of that leadership coach style player. At 33 years old, signing 3 years gets him through to 36. You feel like in that 36-year-old season, he's probably not contributing that much. But it also shows that Gold Coast think they're right at the precipice of competing for a flag if they're bringing in Jamie Elliott, and he'd be a clear upgrade on that sort of 5th or 6th forward line spot for the Suns.
I looked at this and people are mentioning it. I looked like Carlton, I would have thought would have sniffed, because literally we've just said we don't see small forwards at Carlton. We need someone to educate. But also the Bulldogs. Then I thought Sydney as well. I look at Sydney and I think outside of Papley, they don't have that grouse player. You would have thought all the interstate clubs, if it is a lifestyle thing, which we presume, you would have thought there'd be a lot of money there, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you'd think so. I guess it's probably a duration thing. Like, I don't think that many clubs would be willing to give him that 3rd year. And we see this in other sports, but that's always the tiebreaker. We don't have like the player option in the AFL to extend a contract. There are trigger clauses. So I honestly think it's purely that 3rd year that's making the difference. And Gold Coast know that they could probably fund it. If you're a Pies fan, obviously you're sad, you love him. Maybe you can convince yourself, well, this is the best return he's ever had in front of goal at age 33. So maybe he'll return to form of previous years, kicking around that 30 mark. But like, there's not many teams he wouldn't make better immediately just because of his presence and his ability to convert.
Do you think it would be, when you look at Pies, do you think that with the Pies, I don't think there's that indecision with Bobby Hill, isn't there? We don't really know what's going on. There's a lot of rumours, so I don't want to comment on rumours, but I look at their small forwards. I think he's a bigger loss to Collingwood than he is a bigger gain for Gold Coast from the outside looking in. Because we know, and I think J-Baggers nails it here, you've only got to watch the finals. Small forwards are king in a transition game. And I'd say, Jamie, you could make an argument as being the best small forward all year by a long way.
Yeah, mate, he's been unbelievable this year. Massive loss to Collingwood, and if he leaves, and I do think if you look at the Pies list, they're in a really interesting place, and I think they're probably due. And if it's not next year, it might be the year after. But I think they're in for some pain potentially. When you break down sort of where their list sits as a whole and where they've invested their sort of free agency dollars. So big loss to Collingwood. If they do sort of not put up the fight to keep him, maybe they are looking to sort of retweak the age profile of that list pretty quickly.
Well, they have been linked with a lot of younger players. They've been linked with a lot of younger players, haven't they? They've been linked with Blighty, the Richmond delisted player. So it looks like they are looking at the delisted players. It's going to be fascinating, though, because when you look at what the compensation is historically for a 33-year-old, this could be like a 3rd rounder.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up my database now while you're talking.
It could be. It's not one of them ones that you feel like you could turn in. So I would say if they're losing him, they're probably looking at free agency just to wipe that compo out anyway.
So I've got my database for free agency compo. Todd Goldstein, 35, none. Tom Campbell, 33, none. Nick Haynes, 32, none. James Frawley, 32, none. The next comparable player is Isaac Smith, who was 31 when he moved, and that was a 3rd round selection. And Daniel Wells, a lot earlier, 2016, he was 31, received a 2nd rounder. Jared Waite, nothing. So the odds are actually against the Pies getting anything from in terms of compensation, but also we shouldn't be necessarily building list decisions on 33-year-old blokes around what compo they may or may not give you.
Shane, it could be, if you actually look at it, though, he would be an exception because the rumour many people are saying is 600K over 3 years, which would be an exorbitant amount. I do believe Isaac Smith was like 400 minimum chips. So it was like, this would be the exception to the rule. I don't think we've seen a 33-year-old on that, but it's going to be a fascinating one, what we do, what they do. But I suppose Gold Coast are in the position, aren't they? They're in a position to bring in experience. That's probably the one thing they lack, isn't it, really? That know-how. Perfect signing.
Yeah, well, Alex Sexton wasn't getting the job done, so let's bring in someone who can kick some snags.
And then I wanted to throw a little pommy ball curveball. When you look at the free agency, there isn't much names that grab you by the short and curlies, right?
No,
Really. But there is one guy that I think is very intriguing, especially for sides that are looking to rebuild or looking for that muscular approach. And there is a gentleman by the name of George Stevens who has a remarkable record of polling Brownlow votes in 50% of his AFL games. But you look at his VFL season this year, currently not signed on a deal, destroyed it in the VFL, destroyed it to the point that he's their best player in the VFL at Geelong. This could be a really intriguing one because this is where teams have really done well targeting these types of players. And it'd be fascinating because with Mitch Nevitt re-signing, the opportunities are there, but this could be an intriguing one. Just with him being a non-free agent, does someone tempt George and try and usher him out? It could be a fascinating one.
It could be. I know there's already Shane in chat said there's no way this guy leaves. He won a VFL BNF. I'm assuming he's talking about George Stevens. It's one of those ones, right, where if Geelong are going to bring in all the players that we think they're going to bring in, there are going to have to be some guys that come out. Now, a couple of those might end up being retirements, but sometimes these sort of fringe younger guys do get pushed out, and it only takes someone to come in and go, we'll give you a 4-year deal. You're going to play every week, for him to then go, yeah, send me. There's every chance that next week Geelong announced they've extended him by, 3 years. But as of right now, he's uncontracted, has only played 2 games, and is exactly that ripe sort of aged midfielder that, I don't know, I was going to say North Melbourne as an example, but they're obviously not looking for midfielders. But, it's your North Melbourne tier team that could offer this guy a full playing season next year.
I wanted to bring him up as well because I find that, obviously Geelong haven't re-signed really anyone because obviously they've been doing something quite important, playing in a grand final. It's kind of nice to have that luxury. When I was watching them, one guy that stood out was George Stevens. I was watching their midfield. I was a huge advocate of him in the draft. I loved a bit of the George dog. He hasn't looked out of place in the AFL. I do think the thing that overran Brisbane overrun them in the midfield. When I look at Geelong's midfield, I can slowly start to see the sands of time against them younger, upbeat, panache midfielders. So it's going to be fascinating what Geelong do because I think he's too good for VFL, but I think he's got to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's the choice, right? Geelong either go, all right, Cam Guthrie's gone, Mitch Duncan's gone, not that he was playing much, we're going to have to lose one of these mids or turn them into something else to give this guy playing time. But the Cats aren't typically, they don't always rush in, particularly in that midfield. If you're not quite good enough, Jai Clark, for instance, in his rookie year, he was supposed to be the next big thing coming to play. And he's managed, 25 games over a few years. So at least in the midfield, their forward lines and wings and stuff like that, they have injected players in. But that core midfield, which is where Georgie would need to play, they haven't been bold enough to mess with that much of late, other than bringing in, Bailey Smith and having him dominate across the season.
Kaz, I don't want to talk about it. Look, I've already tried to sack one team's coach this year. I'm shifting from Michael Voss to Ruben Amavos at the minute. I wish he'd fuck off and all. Geelong, they just do it, don't they, Ken? To answer your question, I mean, we'll talk about it a bit later. We've got Essendon and Geelong on the run sheet. For some reason, everyone goes to Geelong for less money and the opportunity to become a farmer don't they?
It's really strange how that happens.
It's heartbreaking. But this is what the first round looks like at the moment. So the green asterisks on your screen are the potential compensation picks. So number 2, obviously, Oscar Allen. Number 6, obviously, Sam Draper. Should it be band 1? Looking at the breakdown of the deal, I think it's a good chance it is band 1. And obviously 11, Carlton, TDK's compensation. You can see here, this draft already could end up being 26, 27 picks in the first round, which is absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, and it's one of the real bugbears I've had over the last few years. We've had a couple of years that have extended out to like pick 30 is the first round. I think since the draft existed, I can't remember the exact numbers, Pom. I've said this on the stream before. We've had like 4 drafts where there were the same amount of picks in the first round as teams in the league. Like we've essentially had affected drafts the entire time it's existed, which is bizarre. But it was never intended to get out to sort of pick 28-ish. And that's partially why they're bringing in the rules, adjusting the rules for next year is to partially bring that down. But, that's why getting an end of round 1 compo pick, it sounds great on paper, but in the end, you're still getting the 30th player in the draft. Like it's pretty nuts.
There's nothing worse, is it? It won't be pick 20. It will be band 2, so it'll be after Carlton's. It probably will be either at the start of the second round, which will be in about the mid-20s. It's not band 1. So like it's going to be crazy when you actually look at how many picks as well that are in this draft as well. When you look at the other players, so you've obviously got to remove all of Gold Coast at this stage picks because they will be all tied up and landlocked. But you've got Zeke Hewland, Danny Annabelle. You've got Dylan Patterson, who will be a first rounder. Harry Dean, a lock for first round. Then you've got, then you're potentially dependent on whose draft board you believe. Adam Swede ranges anywhere from as high as 17 to as low as 25. Bo Adensaw is as high as 18 on some draft boards, as low as 30. Potentially, you could see this being about 28 minus 3, depending on what gold goes to, being about 25 picks in that first round. That could be crazy. I mean, Sydney, people are mentioning, probably the good thing from them is Sydney did the dodgy. Like Max King is at high 20 at the minute, low 25. Lachlan Carmichael as high as 20, as low as 31. So this could be crazy. Like this could be crazy. I don't think, because of what's going to happen, I don't think you'll see the bids come at the right stage. But what I wanted to talk about here is the teams that potentially could do it. So Gold Coast are definitely a team to watch because Zeke Hewland won't be taking pick 1 because the AFL is stupid. We don't really have.
Why would you take the best player at pick 1?
Do you know what I mean? And Danny Annabelle should be in the conversation for pick 1. But 6, 13, 16, 31, 56, and 67 will not accommodate should all them 3 players, which we suspect should be in the top 20. They're going to have to do some working. You've got Eagles. They're going to have 1 and 2. There's talk that they may look to open their draft haul a little bit and maybe trade back 1. Essendon have been talked about trading up for Xavier, for Dersma. Gold Coast, we've just talked about. North, they're an intriguing one because I do think that they probably may look at doing a deal to maximise them picks. And then St Kilda, obviously, are linked with half of the AFL draft, who we'll talk about in a minute. They're going to have to... No way no one asked for pick 7. There's no way they're going to have to do a Hawthorn and sell pick 7 in some way, shape, or form. So these could shape the draft big style.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely going to be movement because we've seen this year's your last year to cash in on the rules as they currently are. So Suns aren't really going to want to be holding number 6 at West Coast. I'm really interested to see what West Coast do, particularly once you give them that second pick with the asterisk next to it. Like they'd seem to do is go to the draft, and I don't know, they're in a weird position. Starcevic, if they get him, is a great starting point for what they might do, and it says to me that, hey, we might take that second pick we get, or our 15 and 19, and try and turn them into some mature age bodies. There's a lot of movement in this draft. It's going to be really, really exciting. It's going to be exciting. And as you said with St Kilda, Sauce absolutely right now believes he's taking pick 7 to the draft and also getting all of these players he wants. And it's just not realistic.
This is a really interesting one here from YouTube user as well. Starcevic obviously had that head knock again. The AFL have clamped quite hard of taking the responsibility out of the player and doing these tests. That could be a real high risk pick because that's a long-term deal, which they've got to do. I've got to commend the Eagles. They've got to get out of this shit. And the way to do it is use your cap. But that could be a huge risk for Eagles, isn't it? Because he's the type of player you want. He picks up head knocks, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's why the AFL will make some ruling when they announce it this week about the package that West Coast get. It won't be pick 2 as the package, the assisted package. Pick 2 will be for Oscar Allen. It'll be the ability to sign a free agent, and then I'm sure there'll be some terms and conditions and now that he's had the head knock, and if that free agent has medical issues, that won't sit within the cap or whatever. They'll make some absolute made-up rule to get Starcevic to West Coast and playing football risk-free.
You know what? Shadow asked, I know he's a big North man. I mean, when I look at North's issue, is that trade last year, I'm not a fan of it, but I also don't hate it. Like you to get yourself out of the predicament, and we're going to talk about a team that is doing that in a minute, St Kilda, but to get yourself out of the predicament, you've got to do it, haven't you? You've got to go hard. You can't. I hate it. You Carlton have done it for years. Do the same thing over and over again, then wondering why the list is always disjointed.
Yeah.
Right. To answer your question, why North might do this, I think Saints need established players like Sarong, who you asked about earlier, Shadow, like players that are ready today, right? And help build around your juniors. They've done the drafting. This could be an interesting predicament that with Gold Coast, I wouldn't be surprised to see, North maybe look for future assets, something like that, 20 and 21. Gold Coast come in for that because they need the points, maybe looking at maybe a fringe player and spreading the load next year, which the draft class does look higher in top-end talent, and causing a bit of chaos next year with the draft rules, which we'll probably talk about. I really like the new draft rules because I think it's about time clubs do pay the right price for them. And I think that will open up trading next year for teams like North who have done their drafting.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see people cash in this year, try and trade for futures this year. So, and it's going to be difficult because there's going to be a lot of teams trying to get picks in the first round next year. Carlton will be one of them. Others will join them. But you're going to have to pay up to get those future picks, particularly given if you're banking on using this year's picks to convert into next year's picks. This year's picks aren't as good because the draft's not as good, in quotation marks, Pom. So it's going to be a difficult market trying to trade into the future, but I think we're going to see clubs who don't have any sort of father-sons locked in this year academies trying to get into next year's market, which is fun, but it does make for boring content this year when all the trades are just for future picks.
Look, the clever teams will work it around it. I mean, to answer Riff's question, my thought process here, if they've got pick 2, I think Dersma is exactly the type of player Essendon want and need.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that trade being something like 5-6-2 for 2 and something else a bit later down the track. So it could be a fascinating conundrum because I think Essendon, he is exactly the player they want. Should they keep Zach Merritt as well? It's obvious that's their game plan. So that could be a little workaround there that Essendon then get what they really want. They've openly said Dersma's who they're really interested in. I know Dersma really wants to get to Essendon as well, but Eagles then could look at the draft that Richmond did last year and go 1, 5, 6. We can have 3 cracking bites at the cherry, really rejuvenate our list, and then maybe next year go out for free agency and get the established talent they want.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, maybe this year isn't the year that West Coast should go all in on out-of-contract players.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it depends. Obviously, the trade would not happen if West Coast would indicate that. Angus, like, as we know, the AFL is dodgy. That would have been the question. Who are you taking one? Once they're settled on who they take one, they take that. 100%. I'd imagine if Eagles go, we want one, Dersma one, then that's a different conversation. That would be entertaining because it's probably going to cost a little bit more, which we want to see.
Yeah, it's good. It's just annoying that it's affecting the club I support. But it's about time. I said this when Patrick Cripps was a free agent. Scrap free agency combo this year. If Paddy Cripps leaves, I'm happy. I'm happy that they're slightly adjusting the draft issues. Not as harshly as I would like them to, but they are addressing it. So it's good.
It'll be interesting. We've got a bit of a McVee section coming up. Exactly. They'll have assurances. The Dersma link, though, is quite interesting. I am wondering if they go all the Dersma. They go all in on the Dersma.
Just collect all the Dersmas.
I do wonder, because that has been a link that goes away. But I did want to talk about one of the guys that is sweeping the world at the minute. I'm sure if you haven't heard about Sullivan Roby, you're gonna know. You're gonna do it now. Says before we go on to Roby, I'll answer this. Exactly what Let Dog and me were talking about earlier about planning for the future. Gold Coast and Brisbane are incredibly good at knowing their academies and trading while the other teams sleep. So if you go back and watch that 2023 video about the Gold Coast Academy that I complained about, saying that they've got another 2 years of taking the piss in the top 20. Evidently, no other AFL club watched that video and then just promptly traded future first as if they were peanuts. And they're in this Mickey Mouse situation. So it pays to know your development. It does pay. But this guy here, Mr. Sullivan Roby, obviously great story, coming from the middle of nowhere, turned down for state, turned down for national. No one wanted him. Went and did it the hard way, played 9 games, taking his opportunity, started as a third forward, roamed in the midfield. Definitely is one of the bolters, and I agree with Cal Toomey. We've seen the era of the bolters. Tyroo last year did his chances no harm. This guy's fascinating if you look in the consensus draft because he's ranked as high as 4 in some drafts, as low as 28 at the minute. I've got him 13, and that's at a push. I'm still not heavily on him. But this is another guy that I feel as well, Essendon are probably in, from a draft point of view, the best situation that we've ever seen. Because I think 4, 5, and 6, if they get the Draper comp, are the best players where people will want. Because you're going to have Cumming in that area. If you want Roby early, you're going to have him in that area. If you are a Lindsay fan or you hate him, he's in that area. So much indecision in this draft. I feel like they're in such a good position, Essendon, to play a little game here of seeing how much you want him.
I think, and he'd be a great pairing. What Essendon have lacked in that forward line for a while now, they're starting to build over the last couple of drafts. he'd come in and be the right age profile to age along some of the other guys they've got in there. Names escaping me. They've got Kako that they took, but who did they take the year before? Pom, tall forward, marking Nate Caddy. Nate Caddy. Yeah, him and Nate Caddy coming at you in the forward line. Neither like super massive talls, but both around that 190, 192 mark is an interesting prospect to me.
Yeah, and you've nailed it, Ken. At the minute, what we know about the new rules: 2 first rounders. For a pick, you can only use 2 picks. Only use 2 picks to match the points. So that could be intriguing which clubs are clever and try and do that. The announcement for the finalisation of the rules is scheduled to be the middle of free agency. So the AFL leaving its last minute. I'm with Tatum.
Great system.
I'm with Tatum. I am still wary of Sullivan, but I can't argue with his 8-week block. It's been absolutely splendid, but it's going to be.
Yeah. We do always see clubs, generally it's GWS, take a weird player in the first round, like that no one expected. I was like, oh shit. And it could be Roby this year.
Yeah, it's going to be the new DVI rules. Obviously, like if you watch the video, I explained all the available options. So at the minute, it does sound like Kowtoom is under the illusion they are going to remove all points discounts. So that's why John Ralph, the mathematician nerd, he made a bit of a faux pas because he said 2 would require 4 and 8. And then Kowtoom translated it into English, not moron. And when the AFL are suspecting as well to bring in zones. So on my video, we talked about the idea of a zone. So the zones potentially sound like they're going to split the league into 6, 12, 18. If you finish in the top 6, you must own a pick in the first half of the draft to match on the first half of the draft with a second pick. Middle tier will just be, as of normal, 2 picks. And then the third, there is an assumption that they may allow compensation to allow a discounting scheme for the worst for the worst teams in the draft. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating how that works, because if they start doing zones, I don't think that's possible, because I don't know how the AFL could tell me right now Sullivan Roby will go pick 8 if he was an NGA, pick 15 or pick 30. Like, what algorithm are we using?
The flip side of the zone idea is that if I'm Carlton and I'm going to, my choices next year are to finish 10th or 12th, and I finish 12th, I get Cody Walker for half the price. I'm finishing 12th, which is the opposite of what the AFL will do. Asterisk, then they'll bring in wild card to incentivize people not to tank.
Yeah, for me, the way I stand on it, I really like the rule, because I think it's stupid that I talked about the Ashcroft. I don't want to pick on Brisbane, but they use 5 shit picks to pick up the second best player via draft position, easily the best player in his draft class. That's stupid. 2, I think, is perfect. It's the sweet spot because it works out well. But when they start adding grey areas, $10 from Ben, another season done. Thank you for the content. I plan on learning a lot more from you about the draft. Fill the head gaps. Cheers, mate. Mate, much love. We love you, Benny, mate. We love you. But it's stupid. Yeah, TL. It's stupid. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And it could have been solved from day one if you just said, to match a bid, if it's first rounder, you have to have a first rounder, or whatever it is, you have to use your first rounder. But they didn't.
To answer your question, Lou, impossible to know without seeing the full rules. But based on worst case scenario, you would need a pick in the top 5. So 3,000 points, right? So let's just say you can only get your hands on 5th. Let's just say, keep the math simple. You can only get your hands on 5th, right? That would mean that you get 1795, which means that you would then need the lowest amount off the top of my head. Probably pick 10. That's 1270 odd. So you need 5 and 10, which is still doable. I mean, what people need to do, because Carlton fans, I've got to say, out of all the fan bases I've ever seen with the change in rules, Carlton fans have actually taken the piss of how worried they've got, because there is 0% chance that a father-son NGA or an NGA will not end up at their club. Not end at their club, regardless of what the rules will be, unless the AFL has some big bollocks and removes NGA father-sons. 0% chance it will ever happen in the AFL, because the AFL is a competition to an extent.
Yeah, if one team takes a father-son, if one team causes a situation where a club misses a father-son or NGA, it's just not worth the risk to them, because they are just going to get destroyed by the other 17 clubs. In a real competition, that would make sense, but we don't follow a real competition.
Unfortunately, we don't. So Angus asks, good question, Warpool compensation. So I haven't actually seen any stonking contract values, but he is in that intriguing age. I would be shocked if it wasn't band 2, because he's 26. He's probably band 2, band 3.
So he's 20. He's 26. Starts the year next year at 27. He's a restricted free agent. Typically, restricted free agents give higher free agency. So comparable. Yeah, I think it's a band 2 probably is where it lands.
Which would be good.
Tom Rockcliffe at 27. He was a restricted free agent. That was an end of first rounder. That's similar in terms of, without knowing the contract details.
Do you know what I mean? You know what, though? I always find this funny that everyone else has benefited, rah. Everyone else has benefited, but when you enact change, it's a very I get tired of this argument, so I don't want to sound like I'm miserable, but for true equality to exist, right? Let's just say we loosened, we made the drinking laws harsher in this country. So let's use a real world example. Let's say we removed how many drinks you can have to drive a car, right? So let's say it was total teetotal. You had to be below a 0.0 reading, otherwise you lost your license. It would be like saying, when people say, oh, it's not fair because we haven't monopolized it, that then they released a loophole that if you hadn't drunk drive in the last 5 years, we'll just let you off, providing you don't kill someone for a little bit, so everyone gets one. Equality to exist means these are the new rules right now. We don't care who's benefited in the past, but from this day forward, we're all equal. That's equality. It gets warped when we say we should do it. And even though I think it's harsh, I'll be totally honest, I couldn't give less of a shit about Cody Walker and what we pay for him, because if he's as good as I think he is, I'm happy to pay pick 4-5, pick 6-7, pick fucking 3-8. I don't care, because you are benefiting by getting him, and they're still keeping the landlocked. So I'm not bad.
I just think it's a maturity thing. This applies to a lot of things, but for equality to exist, sometimes some people who have already paid the price are gonna not get compensated. For instance, if the government came out tomorrow and said, you know what, we're going back to the old days, Hex is going to be free, we want people to go to uni, I'm not going to go and sook that I've already paid off my 70 grand of fees, because I understand that other people not having to have that hardship is a good thing. It's the same with adding in this rule. It's it doesn't matter that, yes, Collingwood got 2 good players. It doesn't fucking matter, because we're looking to the forward to the future for the betterment of the competition.
$2 from Teresa. I'm not thanking you. You made me sad. You stink. I'm really sorry that I talked about Jamie Elliott because you're sick at the minute as well, and you love Jamie Elliott. So I'm a bad man. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? I am sorry. I love you. But to be honest, I don't mind it. I genuinely don't mind it, because the AFL have given them too few. To answer TL's point, usually I'd agree with you, TL, because I said it should be a 2-year cycle. But now you've got 2 years of future picks as well. So, Like, it should be quite easy. Like, I'm genuinely telling you, I think why the AFL want this, and this is why I've been advocating for this change for like 5 years of doing content, is it is ridiculous you can use second-rate picks to take a top-level quality player, right?
Yeah.
Because the benefit is you're already guaranteed him. So, like this year, we're going to have 26 picks in the first round. That has a knock-on effect. Like the teams I wish would complain more, Hawthorn have been grossly affected by it. North Melbourne have been grossly affected by it. The Eagles are going to be grossly affected by it in a shallower pool of elite talent. It would be great in an ideal world that Gold Coast were having to either not be able to match the players, because as my video stated, it'd be almost impossible for them to do it this year. It would be almost impossible for Gold Coast to take these 3 players this year. And Zeke Hewland is definitely what the Eagles, Essendon, North Melbourne, Richmond would want at their football club. So it should be hard. I'm totally cool with it. Like genuinely too cool with it.
Yeah. I think we've always been open, Tommy.
Yeah, look, I'm totally cool with it. Like, call me a bad Carlton fan whatsoever. It would be as stupid as, for me, people getting upset about it. It'd be like Gold Coast saying, we've never warped the salary cap, but Carlton cheated in 95.
Yeah.
There's rumours Eagles did it in the 90s. Let us spend 10 million over the salary cap just 1 year and win a flag, and then we'll break even. Yeah, unfortunately, the rules have to change. Global asks you, who's the first rookie next year? You're picking
it's Jagger Smith, mate. It's Jagger Smith. It's an easy answer.
And I agree with Scott. Very good players. Like I'm telling you, Cody Walker, I've always been honest with you guys. The best player I've ever seen come through the draft class, no questions asked, is Nick Dacos. His ability to bring players in, make them better, his ability to finish his own work was another level, right? As a junior. I get tingly feelings when I watch Cody play football. So that's all I'll say. Same with Cochrane as well. But there is something about Cody, especially as a bottom ager, that really turned me on of his maturity. So, you do it. But there is some players we've got to talk about here. Spinks, good day, mate. Love your work. You're spot on, Spinks. And you see, it's not fair. It's genuinely not fair. And look, I know everyone hates equality. It's a buzzword of the decade. But that is what the AFL are trying to do. The problem is the AFL, in my opinion, are weak. It's very easy to make the draft work. You've just got to stop appeasing these Mickey Mouse football clubs. Like, you tell them
if they just lopped it off 5 years ago or 10 years ago when it was clearly going to be a problem, it'd be fine. But they did all these little incremental 1 year changes.
My favorite thing is Gold Coast commented in my video in 2023 and they said, amazing video. Thank you for the explanation. It literally specified 2024, 2025 were going to be the stupidest drafts you'll ever see because I stated the Allies under 16 squad was 75% Brisbane and Gold Coast Academy. So I was like, hindsight would say 2 years' time, this could be a problem. And I was like, how has it not been changed? Like, how did no one think this may be a problem?
It's just the sport we love, mate.
Johnny. And here we are. So we've got 4 players with varying degrees, but these are 4 players that I do want everyone to talk about. I hate trade rumors, as you know, because I think a lot of these are fiction as well based. But first one we're talking about, huge links for Petrarca, Adelaide, Hawthorn have openly said they want midfield help. Gold Coast are another option coming late. What do we think, chat and Let Dog? Like this, I feel like Petrarca is happening. I think 100% will happen.
It's funny, Pom, because my gut says that it doesn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, or if it does happen, it's to some random club we hadn't considered at this point. Like you wake up and he's playing at Fremantle for Damo or something. I It's just an odd one, right? Like, he hasn't had the highs for the last year or this season after that injury. Was it last year? He's publicly last year in the off season kind of, him and the club were kind of trashing each other in the media. It was very strange. And then it kind of was clear that he wasn't going to be able to get to anywhere because he's paid too much. We fast forward another year, hasn't had an amazing year, struggled a bit. Melbourne have got to, reset with a new coach and all this sort of stuff. I've just got a feeling that he just ends up being convinced to stay. And he's in a weird spot where he's getting paid a lot more than he should for the performance he's given since getting injured. And every year he gets older. I agree he's a fantastic player, though, but I just think he ends up staying. Although Shane's made a good suggestion here that if Melbourne are paying the contract, I forgot about the AFL where we pay players to not play at our clubs. I'm not in full off-season mode.
Shane, it's funny you've said this, because I know you're a Geelong man. You're a good friend of this channel as well. I actually text my mate who is a Melbourne fan the other day saying, I can't wait for Petrarca to spit his dummy and say, I'm fucking not playing here. And then last minute Geelong say, oh, we'll happily pay half of his salary. And you know what? Because we're good guys, we'll give you a third rounder. And I was like, he ends up at fucking Geelong on 200K. I was like, and you're paying it. So, you know what? I genuinely think, I can't hide this feeling. I've got a feeling he ends up at Gold Coast, and I don't know why, but I can see him being the Dustin Martin of Dimmer.
I mean, he'd be fantastic. I think he can in any functional team with a functional game plan. He is a missing link sort of player.
You know what? Merrick's to the Hawks, and we go for Butters. We'd have the picks and salary. You know what? We'll come on to Butters. Hear me out. Charlie Curnow, chat, stay or go. Does he stay or go?
I mean, he fucking hates Carlton, so nothing about our CEO would indicate that he's going to keep a player who doesn't want to stay at the football club. That's how he has operated in the past. Curnow has publicly stated he doesn't want to stay. I think Nick Austin would love the opportunity to whip up some potential trades for Charlie Curnow, but the coach keeps saying that he's going to stay. We've got a new head of footy that's come in. My gut feel is that he goes and he probably ends up in Sydney. I don't see the Geelong thing happening. And I still don't really understand why Gold Coast would do it. Gold Coast aren't going to include the sort of players that you want coming back anyway. Not that really matters. So to answer your question, I think he ends up, I think we wake up round one next year and he's playing for Sydney.
I think it's Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast do it. I don't know why. I just think it's Gold Coast. Shane taking the piss. I mean, that would make honestly. I don't want, I'll be honest. He's my favorite player. You know, I love Charlie Curnow, but the way he's acted, the same with Zach Merritt. I don't want him fucking anywhere near the football club. To be honest, I'm at that stage with him. But I couldn't stop laughing if Geelong ended up with Petrarca and Curnow. There's a sick part of me that would chuckle myself to sleep at night, knowing how does it always happen to them. But I think he's 100% gone. But that's just probably because I'm a petty motherfucker. And I want rid of him. You know what? I'm glad, chat, you're smart cookies. Zach Merritt. So Zach Butters. I want to talk about Butters. But I've got a feeling, to me, intelligent football clubs, so Carlton, Essendon, right? I want you to think about this. This guy is out of contract next year. This screams to me, spend a fuck ton of coin on him next year and get him for free. This screams clever football clubs. Well, let this do a Tom Barras, do a Josh Battle. Let Josh Battle particularly I remember Sam Mitchell being asked at a function I was at Hawthorn, and some member got really upset, going, "We should have got Battle this year. He wanted to come." And he said, "Look, we're going to play the long game with him." And they went out and got him for fuck all. I reckon with Butters, this is where you just throw the fucking farm at him next year and get him for free.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I was running an AFL team, I would never trade more than a first-round pick for a player. You're not getting Zach Butters this year for a first-round pick. Next year, he's a free agent. You go, Zach Nazaya Wanganeen Malera, you're a $2 million man. Zach Butters, you're now a $2 million man. And you just go nuts at it because he's only 25. So next year, he'll be 26. Meaning in his first year at the new club, he'd be turning 27 that year, at the end of that year. So 26 turning 27. Prime age, restricted free agent. The compensation that Port Adelaide would get, assuming compensation still exists when he leaves, if he leaves, they would be offered a first round straight after their pick. Let's say they finished bottom 4 for some reason, they'd have pick 4, they'd get offered pick 5.
I love
if
it.
I'm Port Adelaide, that's probably not enough. So I'm matching the bid, forcing two picks coming in for Zach Butters.
My Coxlong. Oh no, he did it. He did it. He did it. Whoever Doug is, hope your chemo's going well. We wish the same as well.
I'm not laughing at Doug. I am laughing at Mike.
I can't believe I walked into that as well. Absolutely walked into that like a fucking genius. Well played. I can't believe I walked in. Jesus Christ, Pom, you're better than this. And then Zach Merritt. So do we think quickly stay or go? Butters, I think he stays.
Stays.
Okay, Butters and Merritt. Adelaide Hawks, Gold Coast all lining up. Andrew Welsh, interestingly, took over, though, last week, and his first statement was he's staying. Do we think he stays, or do we think he goes?
It's an interesting one. It is very Essendon like branded to be like he's staying and then he leaves, like still forces a trade. Like that's really on brand with Essendon for the past sort of 20 years. But I also don't think you publicly say that. Like, Zach Merritt's not going to sit out. He's contracted. Essendon publicly said they're not going to let him leave. I think they force him to stay. I think it's some sort of sadistic punishment, knowing that they're still going to get something for him next year anyway if he still wants to go.
You know what? I'm with Damo here. I'm the same with Charlie Kerner, and like, call me a bad fan, but like with Charlie Kerner, you've got to fuck him off. Like who does Zach Merritt think he is? Like, I know Essendon are my rivals, but who the fuck does Charlie Kerner think he is? The frizzy head prick behaving like that about a fucking football club like Cowan. Who does Zach Merritt think he is? He'd be working at Coles if it wasn't for that football club. Right, so like, who does he think he is? So, I hope he fucks off. I don't think he deserves to wear his shirt. That privilege.
If I was running the club and he did that, I'd fuck him off. But it's just odd that they've come out publicly and gone, even after all this, we've got rid of our president or whoever the fuck they sacked, and they've gone, you know what, Zach, you're staying. It just feels like it puts them in a strange position if they then go, actually, we're trading him.
Do you know what I mean? Look, but I will say this: Essendon have done the clever thing. Like I've said this for ages. If Carlton came out and said, see you later, Charlie, fuck you," the price goes down. Same with Essendon.
It does. Yeah.
If they come out now and say, "Oh, he can't return because Zach Merritt he's got a fucking contract on his life from the players," then Hawthorn ring up and say, "Look, we'll give you Cam McKenzie and Sam Mitchell's got some leftover popcorn chicken if you want it when you get here."
Yeah.
But we finish with Saints. These are what Saints are doing. Now, I want to commend Saints. I absolutely fucking love the Saints, what they're doing, because when you shit, the only way you get better is going out there and taking it, right? And they've locked away TDK. They've locked away JSOS. Sam Flanders is suspected to request a trade at this stage to them, right? To Saints. Liam Ryan's already handed in his transfer request. Elliott has already said he wants to go there. 743.58. 3 of them have to be traded for, remember? No way pick 7 stays intact.
No, can't. And, you know, rightly or wrongly, West Coast is going to ask for pick 7 for Liam Ryan. Like, that's how that's going to go. Gold Coast have no need for picks this year. They'll want them for next year. So that's so great. Starting point for Sam Flanders is future first and future second. And then Lecker is an interesting one where I don't know how you ascertain a value for him. In theory, good intercepty, sort of tall, athletic defender. In practice, haven't really seen it. He's a difficult one to sort of price.
GWS probably undervalue their players most than anyone, so I think that one's an easy trade to do. I think that's a future first. The Liam Ryan one, I feel like they will value him higher than the Saints do, but Flanders one's interesting. People talking about Wilkie and Marshall. I think whatever they get for Marshall becomes Liam Ryan.
Yeah,
but I look at I just feel Wilkie stays. I think they're right. But look, I know people don't like it in the AFL, right? They don't like it in the AFL, but credit to them, man, because you've got to get these players through the door. And if it works, it works, right? It could go fucking tits up in 3 years. But let's just say if they make the 8 this year, once you're in the 8, you're in a stronger negotiable territory. If they do shoot up the ladder, well done.
Well, if they believe that their base of players that they've drafted and developed is good enough, then you look at the Geelong model. The Geelong model is trade out picks, get in good players, top up with guys you've hidden in the draft at the end of the third round. So if good teams, once they've established a good structure and a good core, they do go out and get players from other clubs. St Kilda, I try to fast track that. But like signing free agents, tick, use your salary cap, absolutely do it. Sign them. You've signed Naz to a deal. Strike now. Make Naz believe it's worth sticking around longer than the 2 or 3 years, whatever he signed. I love it. And the reason that we don't see clubs do this a lot is because if you're a list manager and you go and acquire players and it doesn't work out, it's really easy for someone to point at you, go, you traded for Zach Williams and he's been shit. You'll get losing your job. Whereas if you're going, well, no, hey, I took all these future first. We got to wait and see and watch them develop. It does extend your career. That's why clubs often don't go after established players as a strategy of purely building your list, because it can be easily measurable. But this is what Stephen Silvani used to do. So I like it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's worth a first rounder, Shane. It'll be interesting, though, because to answer you and Darcy, I think that will be a 3-way deal. And it'll be interesting what they do with Jack, with Jack Steele, because someone mentions that he's been potentially leaving. You see, I disagree with Zach. I don't think we did it. I think what Saints have done is they've targeted the right players. What Carlton did was target players we already had.
And that were also just available.
Yeah. I'll commend Saints. All 5 of them players fit the profile of what I would say Saints need to add. Where Carlton, we went out and got a midfielder when that's all we drafted, a halfback when we had the easiest position to draft, and Williams was the most stupid thing anyone's ever done. Draft a quick midfielder that's a halfback. You reap what you sow. Fair play to St Kilda. They bought players that actually do it. So it's not. It's similar, but it's not the same.
AFL player movement's skewed as well because of the way free agency works. Like last year, they could have gone out and replaced Battle, but they're incentivized not to because then they lose their pick. So they've just gone, you know what, stuff next year. We know JSOS is out. We know TDK is out. That's fixing that problem. Plus, we'll then strike and trade for these other guys.
And we'll quickly go over this because I know Let Dog's got to go to dinner. But Judd McVee completely now has requested a trade to Fremantle. Average numbers, definitely one that maybe a change of scenery could make him better. But 11, 29, 38, 47, and 65. What are we thinking? These are the kind of deals we love, aren't they, Let Dog? And chat, what do you think?
Yeah, I love Judd McVee. I think he's a really exciting sort of, he can do a bit of lockdown, he can do a bit of distribution. I actually think he's got great upside as a selection, as a player to bring in. I think this is really simple. You look at the Alex Neil-Bullen deal where Melbourne didn't want him to leave. He was one of their better players. Ended up, he's obviously older than McVee. He went for 28. So look, it's either going to be that 29 or that 38. It just depends how much the draft gets compressed, because there's a chance that 38 could come in to like around pick 31, 32 after all the early bids are matched. So it's going to be either that, it's going to be a pick around that 30 mark. It's either going to be the 29 or it'll be the 38 after it condenses. And I don't think it's going to be too complicated. But Pommy, I know you've got a slightly different thought on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can already work this out, can't you? If I'm a free man, I'm very good at fluid fan base. So if I'm Melbourne, I want pick 11, right? Because I'm a Melbourne fan. If I'm Fremantle, I want to pay pick 47. So straight away, I can see the disparity. I think it's something like pick 29. I agree with Ultimate Greatness. I think pick 29, and it's like something shit coming back that helps them take Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, it's 29 with a pretend pick coming back, and I think I think it's Melbourne have shown, unless the new coach and the new whatever staff have all changed how they operate, Melbourne, like, this guy wants to go home. He's performed for us as best he could. We'll let him go home. I don't think it's going to be too hard.
And people seem to agree. Zach, if you go back and watch the start of the show, he was the first person we talked about, George Stephen, was. I agree with you, Andy. That's probably what it looks like, Damo. You've nailed it. I think he does. I think he's one of them players. Right scenery, right scope. Chat, I've got to let Leg Dog go because he's got dinner reservations, and so have I. So short, sharp show today. To let you guys know for the future, what we're doing is hopefully Let Dog will come on the show next week. But next week, from Friday, it opens up. We have got the AFL free agencies period on the 3rd. So you will pretty much see me live every day until the 15th of October doing the recap of every free agency, every draft, every trade. Hopefully Let Dog will join us when he needs to, when he can. Otherwise, his wife will divorce him before he becomes his wife. And mine might contemplate it. But thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe on the way out. Loads of content coming up. We're only just getting started. Love you all. See you next time. See you on Friday live.
Go Blues.